Hey, Nelson, alcoholic addict. It's not my real name. I use a pseudonym here at LOL Sober. Um, I'm up late watching NBA playoffs, and I'm excited, and I'll be staying up way too late to watch games over the next couple of weeks. And it got me thinking about how much I love sports and how much a part of my life they've been. I played sports at a really good high school in a state where sports are really important, and played at a high level. And I played tennis in college for 2 years, and so then I got sick in college, got really sick, and I ended up in a coma and having to have some amputations on my feet. That's a long story that I will share about another time. But that got me into painkillers and booze, and you know how that story ends. I got a front row seat at rehab out of that. But along the way, I was really glad throughout my life that I played sports and that I competed in sports at a relatively high level. And there's just so many good things about sports. Like, for instance, like I learned how to lose at a very early age, how to fight and claw and come back from losses, but also injuries, how to push myself, how to never quit. All the good characteristics you can probably imagine. But when I went to rehab, it hit me that sometimes those characteristics do not play well in the sandbox with sobriety, because at rehab, I still had a lot of those athlete voices in my head, the voices that say, where there's a will, there's a way, second place is first loser, no mercy, sweep the leg. Eh, oh shit, like I realize I'm just saying stuff I heard on Cobra Kai at this point. Um, but, in all seriousness, you get my point. I heard Ryan Leaf, the former NFL quarterback, he was talking recently about how much sports did for him, what it meant to be an athlete, but also how hard it made it to fully surrender in recovery. Because, you know, in athlete terms, surrender is losing, and I had to say things and admit things in rehab that the athlete part of my brain just wasn't equipped to do. Like the idea of surrendering to win, asking for help, those are foreign concepts to an athletic brain. But I started thinking, I remember around the time I got to rehab, I can kind of thank my higher power, because I heard a MMA fighter fought in the UFC for a long time, and he was asked about the idea of tapping out in a fight. And some fighters refuse to ever tap out. They're willing to let their leg get broken or like completely choked unconscious. They'd rather do that than admit defeat and tap out and have the fight stopped. And this guy was like, hey, if I know my arm is about to be snapped in half, like I'm tapping out. I don't want to be in a cast and unable to fight for 4 months or 6 months. I'd rather tap and live to fight another day. And so that's what I'm going to try to embrace today, the good and the bad of sports, and just the idea that live to fight another day, one day at a time, right? Thanks for letting me share.